Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very 76th episode of Cool Down Timer. My name is Neefu, and with me today I am joined by a man who has seen the face of death and returned from it. Cold-hearted, Zingles Artman.
Tonight, ZAM joins the hunt.
And from the frozen wastelands of Alaska, the wild man from up north himself, Mark. I'm gonna make a ton of money selling tea online, Hamilton.
It's good tea. It's good tea.
That was a thing, right? I'm not misremembering that.
That was totally a thing.
We weren't going to sell it online. We were going to sell it at that little pottery tourist trap in Ashford to hippies. We were going to make it out of Devil's Club and other things. And
You know, that was not the worst tea I've ever had, and we made it, and that makes me happy. That was a win in my book.
I'm kind of sad that I never followed through on that. I mean, I don't think it would have gone much of anywhere, but I kind of wish I'd followed through.
We had a lot of Devil's Club root bark.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
My hands were stained for days.
I feel like we got to talk about it. We briefly had a career as harvesters of wild Devil's Club fruit. By briefly, I mean we did it one day and we didn't get paid enough.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. It was fun, though, honestly. Like, I wouldn't do it again, but I look back fondly
experience.
on it. Yeah, exactly.
And it was all your fault.
Why?
Because I had learned that you can make a healing salve out of Devil's Club.
Is that how you
root
pronounce
bark.
it?
Sal?
That's how I pronounce it.
I've always pronounced
Isn't
it
there
Sal.
an L in it?
Yeah, but I think it's silent. I think it's salve.
Well, I'm just going to have to Google
How
this shit.
savvy
What are you going
of
to put
you.
on that? Salve? Anyway, and I was just mentioning this because I'm a walking encyclopedia while ZAM was over at my house, which is in the middle of the woods, which is covered in Devil's Club, when he said, hold on, you can make medicine out of a plant that's right here? And I'm like, well, yeah. And he's like, let's get some.
I don't even remember that.
That's what you did. You were like, what are we waiting for? That sounds freaking sweet.
It was fun. But basically, it's called Devil's Club because it looks like a weapon that a devil would use. It is covered in spikes.
Salve. Also the Latin greeting, salve.
We looked up the same thing.
Salve.
Salve?
Salvador!
Yeah,
God damn it.
And all the little needles on it are like really, really super thin, so they break off in your skin.
It's basically you wear thick jeans, you wear a jacket, and you wear thick gloves, and you carry around a large, sharp weapon, and you hack at them, and then you pull up the roots, and you skin the roots, and you wash the roots, and you... God, how big was that box? How much bark did we...
box, you could fit several children in that box.
What a weird unit of measurement.
Wow.
But, I mean, did we get 50 pounds? I don't remember.
I think so, yeah.
I think we got 50 pounds. 50 pound of bark from roots. This isn't even counting the rest of the tree.
We were going for 100, and we hadn't... I hadn't reckoned on how much 100 pounds of bark would be. So
I picked 20 pounds of blueberry or blackberries a couple years back, and I can't imagine 50 pounds of
Now, and remember, this is not picking and putting in a basket. This is cutting down a small sapling-sized tree,
covered in
ripping out
spikes.
the roots with a pickaxe, washing the roots, and then meticulously skinning the roots.
Then washing the skinned roots.
Yes, it was a process, sir.
We put in like an 8 or 9 hour day there.
Yeah, maybe more. It was.
How much money did you make from your whole project?
Enough. I can't remember the exact amount, but it was less than minimum wage when all was said and done.
Sadness.
But again, we were kids and it was an experience. So
Yeah.
Was this before or after you murdered the mouse?
same day. No, I was kidding.
It was after.
Also, I'm pretty sure that story's been told, right?
No, it has, but like a million years ago when nobody who's listening now was listening then.
Why would you bring up such a sad moment?
'Cause I'm a masochist.
Well, I grew up at a summer
Damn it, that would have been a
camp,
perfect segue, but let's keep going.
and camps always got done on Saturdays, and new camps started on Sundays. So it was Saturday afternoon. Everyone was turning stuff around, cleaning everything. Zam and I were just goofing around, having fun. When one of the assistant manager type person, and my dad was the manager, and was out of camp for some reason. He was on an errand. Came up and said, "Hey, we found a mouse in a mousetrap in one of the cabins, and it's still alive. This is not my job. This is your dad's job, and your dad isn't here, so you're going to take care of it." So we had to figure out how to kill this mouse, and its leg was caught, and it was broken and in pain and scared, and it's like, we got to put it out of its misery. But neither of us.
But here's the thing, all right? So I was kind of letting Mark take care of this because
it was my dad's job, and thus it fell to me.
Yes. Like a father before you.
I guess my older brother was off to college, so I was the eldest son that was available.
But so what happened though is he goes and we get this mouse and he's got it like, I think she brought it out to us. I don't remember. Yeah. Anyway, it was it's still on the thing and it's like just desperately trying to get away and its little foot's stuck.
And it's the leg is broken. Okay, this mouse has no future.
Yeah.
And it's in serious pain.
And so like I'm just kind of waiting there to see what Mark's gonna do, and he kind of walks off. And he comes back with an oar from the rowboat, like a big wooden oar, and just holds it over his head. And I'm like, okay, I back up. We're just kind of sitting there, and he just stares at it for a little bit. I stare at it, and then I look at him, then he looks at me. And then after, like, what felt like about 5 minutes, he just drops it and is like, I can't do it. So we opted for the humane option of drowning it.
It was humane for me and me only. I could not squish that mouse's head.
We get a 5 gallon bucket of water and just toss the mouse in, and it immediately uses the mousetrap like a raft.
So I have to reach in and pull it down.
No, it was great because Mark and I just had a look at each other with this like horrified look on our face, and Mark picks the oar up and doesn't even look at what he's doing, and he just pushes the mouse under the water very slowly.
It's like, I gotta get.
It was terrible.
It took so long to die.
That mouse had a will to live.
I felt so. I should have made a memorial to that mouse. I became a man that day. I learned some lessons about how to humanely dispatch a wounded animal. Namely, don't drown it.
Speaking of facing your fears and masochism.
But before you do, I just want to say, if my dad was there, he would have just stomped it.
Oh, God.
And I'm assuming you guys didn't have a gun or anything like that.
But it's the size of a spoon head. It's like...
It wasn't a rat. It was a mouse. It was a little mouse.
A pellet gun?
Oh, yeah. I'll hit it right between the eyes.
I mean, I think we actually were both like, if we had that would be easier for us. But
yeah,
no,
we didn't.
We didn't.
But speaking of having to try to kill things that are way too difficult for all that's worth, ZAM has been playing Bloodborne.
Yes.
Yay.
It's my new favorite Lovecraftian horror video game. I played it for Halloween and it was wonderful. And then I immediately played it again. What?
Bloodborne.
It's so good, guys.
What makes it so good? Isn't it just Dark Souls but with top hats?
Yes.
Yeah, you could explain it. Like, it really is like pretty true Lovecraftian horror. Like, and in a wonderful way. There are some freaky ass bosses and some great creepy imagery and I mean, like, oh man, the first time I turned around and I saw the giant Cthulhu monster just like clinging to the roof of the building right behind me, just staring at me, and I'm like, how long have you been there? That was so freaking creepy, especially when I realized he'd been there all along. The whole time. It's very good. And what's really cool about it, well, I don't know if it's... it's a much more stressful experience for me. Like I'm not
Than other Souls games or than other video games in general?
Souls games and video games in general, I guess, but but specifically talking about Souls games because like okay, so Dark Souls, like I'm not good at Souls games. I'm good enough to get by without, without too much difficulty, and that's all I ask for really. But I generally play the Souls game in a very specific way, which is have a lot of health, have a decent amount of stamina, and have a just ridiculous amount of strength, carry a very large sword, and hit things one time. After that, they don't get back up. Like, that's generally my play style. And, I mean, to be fair, that's pretty much my play style in Bloodborne, too. But in Dark Souls, you can couple that with a tower shield. And when you're running through an area that you're completely unfamiliar with, that's creepy as all hell to begin with, having a tower shield is like having a blanket. Like, it's just comforting. Like, knowing that if something jumps out at you, you'll probably be okay. You've got a tower shield. You have Bloodborne, they have one shield in the game, and the shield in the game is there to show you that you don't get shields in this game. It's absolute garbage. And oh man, so what they do instead is they give you a gun instead of a shield, and you would take it. You would be right in thinking that doesn't sound like a shield. That's a gun, but it's great. It's actually very cool gameplay because what you do is if you shoot your gun, your offhand weapon, when an enemy's like in mid swing, you'll like parry them and knock them off balance, and then you can run in and like stab them. So guns aren't really for damage, it's for like parrying. But man, the combat looks cool when you get a good parry, and it just feels so damn good. And like you could parry with shields in the other Souls games, but it was never as satisfying as shooting someone in the face and then ripping their heart out.
How long are the load times? I remember when the game initially came out, that was one of the big complaints, was that there were some pretty bad load times after you died.
Share the load.
I mean, I've had like 3-second load times.
Okay, yeah. From what I remember, they were like 30-second load times.
Yeah, no, I've not had anything like that. I think I had long load times at Dark Souls 3, but yeah, I've not had any trouble in Bloodborne.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I beat it, and I beat it without a guide, so I missed everything. And if anyone's played a Souls game, it's hard to find all the secrets and stuff. So I'm replaying it now just to go back and like get everything I missed. And like I missed like 3 or 4 whole areas just because, I mean, how was I supposed to know I was supposed to take the letter to the middle of nowhere and stand next to a statue and let a carriage pick me up? How was I supposed to know that?
Duh.
How was I supposed to know that it was to kiss the maiden skull thrice?
I mean, there really is stuff like that in Souls games, man. It's like the side quest stuff is so okay. For instance, there's a quest for this NPC, and the way side quests work in Souls games is like you'll run into an NPC, you talk to him, and then you just have to talk to them at specific times, and they move around and stuff. So it's like you've just got to be able to find them, and then usually you'll go talk to them, and then they'll want you to help them fight something or something like that. Like, there's questy stuff attached to it, but it's very, very easy to miss them. And there's this quest for this chick named Eileen the Crow, who's a hunter that hunts hunters.
Gasp! Hunter X Hunter.
But she, so the first you talk to her, and then you talk to her again later on, and then you have to go to what is basically a random out of the way place, and you can't teleport there. You got to walk there, and then when you walk there, you will find her fighting somebody, and you help her kill that person, and she can die and completely ruin the story. So you help her kill that person, and then she's just like, "Oh, cool," and she gives you some stuff, and then she leaves, and then like literally halfway through the game later, from my understanding, you run into her again at another completely random out of the way place that you can't teleport to and you have to walk to. Like, that's how the side quests are. These games pretty much require a guide to do like most of the stuff.
Like Minecraft.
Sure. but it's so good. The bosses are so cool. The combat is, I think it's a little harder than Dark Souls in some ways and easier in other ways.
Because you have a gun?
Yeah, like not having a shield. Like Dark Souls is very much like wait, be very very cautious and wait for an opening and then make your strike and then go back defensive. Bloodborne though, they want you to be like up in your face offensive, and they have a really cool system for it. So in Souls games, obviously if you get hit, you're going to get hit hard, right? So you'll lose like good chunk of your health every time. And what they do is you lose your health, but the health stays there for a little bit, and just so red bar, the white max piece will go down, and then you have a couple seconds where you can earn back some of your health by just going on the offensive and just smashing them a couple times. And like it's really cool. In fact, I think one of the bosses even has a mechanic where she takes you down to like 1 health, and you can just use your healing vials and heal through it, but you also could just run in there and just get really aggressive, and you can get all of your health back by just hammering on her a couple times. And like, it's a pretty cool mechanic, just because, I mean, again, in a very brutal game where you're going to take lots of damage, having the ability to heal by just being offensive is pretty neat. And then like, go ahead.
I was just going to say, well, I'm happy for you. And as Mark and I said the last time you talked about Souls games, I'm glad you've got something that you're excited about and that you're enjoying, even if Mark and I aren't with you.
Yeah, sounds like you're having fun.
I remember one of you guys to play a Souls game, like, so badly.
I remember when you couldn't even play video games because it made you dizzy.
What?
Or you didn't own any video games. Elitism. Yeah.
I'm just saying with a game, like Dark Souls or Bloodborne, is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bloodborne, you hop around a lot, there's a lot of movement. I know a time that would have made you feel sick.
Well, it's not first person, though. If it was
I was playing, it was Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, and there was some stuff that would happen in that game just depending upon how the camera moved. Oh, I got sick once or twice playing that game just because it was like, yep, nope, my body thinks I should be moving, but I'm not. I'm going to stop playing for 10 minutes.
Right. Totally off subject thing. So I kind of wanted to play Resident Evil 4, I think.
Yeah.
Was a thing I wanted to play for a while. And it was on sale on Steam for like $4 or something like that. So I was like, what the hell? I'll get it. I have never seen controls that bad in my life in anything. It was so it made Dark Souls on PC without the mods look playable.
What are you specifically referring to? You're referring to the fact that you can't move and shoot at the same time?
No,
or
I thought that was actually almost kind of neat to build up like tension, right?
Yeah.
It's everything else about it.
Do you have to use a gamepad?
This is with Xbox controller.
Do you gotta hammer PC. The buttons and wiggle the sticks?
No, that's 6, I believe. But like, oh my god, it controls like a boat. Like, you can't steer the camera except for a little bit, and then as soon as you let go of the camera controls, it snaps back, so you can't push buttons and move the camera. And so you're constantly like jerking the camera to see and then having to let go, and it snaps back, and then like, oh my god, I refunded the game. I was like, nope.
Well, it is technically a port. I think it's a port of a GameCube game. It's a remaster of a port of a GameCube game.
And I tried everything.
No wonder it rides like a boat. So many ports.
Boat puns. No, I tried mouse and keyboard. I tried all 3 of the controller setups that they had. I could not do anything. Like, oh my gosh, it was so bad. I mean, not to mention that aiming with a controller is hard anyway.
There are just like things that they just don't change when they update old games. And that's kind of one of them. Just
it was
general
the worst.
Control scheme. I had a similar experience the other day with Okami. Do you guys know anything about Okami?
I know the name.
it was a GameCube game ported to PlayStation that was then remastered on PlayStation 3, and I was playing the remastered PlayStation 3 version. And general idea is that it's kind of like a Japanese mythology story about a magical dog, like deity thing, and it has like some cool Japanese watercolor style.
Mm-hmm. Some kind of dog Kami.
I'm sure there was a joke there or something, but
it's just I'm making fun of the fact you don't know anything about Japan.
yes,
It's trying to make you feel bad.
Does Kami mean like God?
What you said is a magic dog spirit god thing. Yeah, that's a kami. A kami is a magic spirit god thing. That's actually the best definition I've ever heard of a kami.
Okay. So, yeah, what Mark just said. But so it has a really fun art style. But it is just so, like, it was 20 minutes before I could actually even move the character, because I'm just sitting there clicking A through, like, not even a cutscene. It's like GameCube era, not everything was voice acted, unfortunately. So, like, I'm just skipping through just walls of, I'm trying to read it too, and it's just like by 20 minutes I was so bored. And so that kind of
this is a really slow movie.
But yeah, so it just was really slow, and I started getting into some of the gameplay, but like every time something interesting would happen, there'd be another 5 minutes of sitting there just clicking through a wall of text. So I was did
it make like a boop 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 sound as the text came?
It was like the old, like, it reminded me, if I remember correctly. Hold on.
Because I've been in quite more than one of those Japanese games where it's boop 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 boop, click boop 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 boop, click boop 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 boop, click for 10 minutes at a time.
Yeah, no, it just kept going and going, and so I put it down. And
was there occasionally a dialogue box that was just 3 dots, dot dot dot, as it showed a facial expression?
Dude, I love doing that. Like in like WoW or whatever, and I'm like only able to communicate via text. Like if I did something stupid or something stupid happened, I'll just do the dot dot dot. But so I put it down for the day, and I was like, okay, I can't do this right now. So I came back the next day. I was like, okay, I've got some fresh mind. I'm ready to try this again. And it was better, but still terrible. It was just still so slow.
Were you into the story at all? Did you care about the characters?
No, because it was so dry and boring. Like, and the other thing is, like, it had attempts at humor, but those attempts at humor tended to be the hypersexualized Japanese humor that doesn't play as well here in the United States. And it was just, I mean, I get that culturally it's funny, but here it just wasn't as funny to me, I guess. But
this just also, in, Neefu says Japanese not funny.
Sure. What's like the Glove and Boots episode about him saying that he doesn't like juice, but then it turns into like he does not like the juice, but he does not like the Jews. Yeah, good episode. But it also kind of reminded me of my experience playing Ni no Kuni, which was a PS3 game. So that stuff, like, it didn't have the kind of awkwardness of like an old port, but it's so linear the first like 2 or 3 hours, and it's just like, I have so many other things that I would prefer to do other than just sitting here reading walls of text that I don't really care about.
Name 3.
Sex.
Sure. Yes. Watching BoJack Horseman. Watching.
Used up watching
Lilo
now.
and Stitch. Oh.
Wait, seriously?
Yes.
That was a very random thing.
But it's such a depressing movie.
here's the thing. I was trying to think of Rick and Morty.
But you said Lilo and Stitch. I just imagine you're just a
It's
closet
a stitch in time,
Lilo.
Robin.
You're just a closet Lilo and Stitch fanatic. Like every Saturday, you get out your little Stitch doll and you pop it in and you watch it and you're like, "Yay, Stitch!" And you know all the lines and you say them with the character.
I don't think I've ever actually seen that, but can that be canon now? Can we just say that that's the truth of it? I'm going to.
Sure. Yeah, it's just, I guess, a reminder of how certain that I like my time. I would often rather not play a more traditional JRPG.
You know what you should play?
You know
Dark
what I
Souls.
played instead, talking about, I'm talking about really, really slow game beginnings. I the other day was playing Sunless Sea, which had a really slow game beginning, but somehow that was really
a
interesting.
video game made out of Fallen London as a slow beginning.
I know, right? But I kind of really got into it until I got really irritated because I died, but not because of something I did, but because the game was unclear on
I
some
hate when that sort of thing
stuff.
happens.
And so I made a decision based off of what I thought they had told me the game mechanics were, and it ended up killing my character, and that was really, 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 I wasn't say really frustrating, but it was irritating.
Yeah, it sucks when a game punishes you for making a choice when you didn't realize what the consequences would be.
Yeah.
Or even like basically what was happening.
Yeah. But no, I liked it. It's got a really fun, fun. It's got a really depressing atmosphere, but not in like the. It's kind of just like, okay, so you're a boat captain, and you're basically underground in the explain the Fallen London universe as quickly as you can.
Okay, so it's set in like Victoria era England, only in this timeline, London got swallowed up into this abyss beneath the earth. That's part of this great market called the Echo Bazaar, which is ruled over by these mysterious cloaked figures called the Masters of the Bazaar, and they're the ones that drug London down, and they had drugged down like 4 or 5 cities previous to this over Earth's history, and the people of London are just kind of going on with their business underneath the earth. So it's very kind of steampunk, but also kind of Lovecraftian. There's like squid people, and no one can die permanently down there. So there's like zombies and stuff, and there's devils because they're near hell, and it's mostly a lot of fun. It's a fun setting. You can do a lot of things with it.
So in Sunless Sea, you basically play a ship captain that's
On the Untersee.
that's trying to make their way on the Untersee, and it's really kind of interesting because the game starts with the entire map just covered in fog of war, and you have to explore it all, but you're trying to manage your fuel and your supplies to keep you alive, but also trying to make money, and one of the best ways to make money is to explore new areas. And once you've explored all of the areas near where you are, you have to explore farther out in order to make more money. And along the way, you'll get given like missions like take this person there, or ferry around this version's world of evil Santa Claus. It was during that mission that I ended up dying because I pushed my fuel reserves too low, and I was making a sacrifice to the gods in order to get some more fuel, but I misunderstood what the consequences for the sacrifices were, and I ended up dying, which was stupid.
I looked at that game after you told me about it, and
I don't think you would like it.
I just kind of chuckled because it's like just plastered all over their Steam pages, like, eat your crew. You get to eat your crew. Isn't it awesome that you get to eat your crew? Like, that's like, that's a big selling point for them. They were very excited about
to eat
that.
my crew.
I know.
on and off have really played the Fallen London browser game that off which this is based, and they have a lot of tie-ins, so I considered buying it. Because like there's an item you can get in the game, and if in the browser game, that if you get it, you unlock an item in the video game, and I got that item, and it's like, hey, wouldn't you like to use it? Why don't you go buy Sunless Sea? And I'm like, I'm playing browser games because I don't want to spend money.
Then you're doing browser games wrong, because
But no, I enjoyed it. Like it was. I had bought it at a sale like a year or two ago, and finally the other day I was like, I haven't bought any new video games because I have so many that I want to play but haven't played yet. But I haven't played them yet, so I'm gonna play one of these random games that I have, and that's the one I chose, and I enjoyed it.
you chose poorly.
Well, yeah, when he made that sacrifice.
Apparently.
Speaking of making sacrifices and dying, ZAM Almost Died.
Where's he gonna go to with this one?
I've already gone there. I already went there.
I know, I was talking over you because I wanted to finish my mocking of you.
So you almost died this week.
That's a bit of an exaggeration, but I mean, I guess, yes.
Your face was so inflamed that these microorganisms decided that your life was less valuable than theirs, and that they were going to completely throw off the what's the word? Dang it. Darn it. Shoot monkeys in a barrel of cheese whiz.
In my face.
It's really, really disappointing when you're like going off on a thing and then you just totally lose your train of thought because you can't think of the word that I still can't continue. I'll tell you what the word is when I remember it. Talk about almost dying.
So basically...
Homeostasis!
Oh, how could you not remember that word? That's a word we all use every day. So basically I had like a cavity years ago that got filled in, as you do, and then the dentist didn't do a very good job apparently, and the cavity was still there underneath the filling, but I didn't know, and it eventually the filling popped out, and then I got this big bad infection in the tooth, underneath the tooth, out of nowhere. Like, and it really was out of nowhere. We were moving because we moved, and I took a nap after we were done because, it was tiring stuff, and I woke up with it. There was not a giant massive lump on the side of my face when I went to sleep, and there was when I woke up. So, yeah, so that, and at first I was like, okay, well, this is annoying, but it doesn't really hurt or anything. And then after a couple days, it was one of the most painful things that has ever happened to me, and I broke my back, so just so we, I do have
context.
I do have a context of pain, and eventually,
that's why you have a terrifying or an excruciating fear of roofs.
Yeah, well, I mean, kind of, I guess. I don't like roofs. Anyway, so had to go get emergency surgery and get the tooth out. And now it's better.
You should sue.
I don't know who the dentist was.
You get treated by strangers.
Well, it was like 12 years ago.
He was like this guy I met on the subway. He said no names necessary.
Yeah, it was like 10.
The alleyway was dark.
Yeah, it probably was about 12 years ago. So I don't remember who he was or have any way of figuring out who it was.
Can you imagine?
Getting old.
Can you imagine if you got sued 12 years after you filled someone's
Well, when you did a trash job, what do you expect?
Well, luckily we've got insurance and stuff, so it wasn't too big of a deal.
Insurance, yay. If we're going with real talk, I'm seriously considering going without health insurance next year.
Careful. Obama might catch you.
Well, no, I highly doubt that Obama would be the one to catch him.
I'm just kidding. I was making it. Never mind.
I'm from the iOS.
No, I mean, does anybody not remember we have an election?
No, I know.
Obama's not going to be in office anymore.
Your
joke's not funny.
Obama never dies.
He's like the Dark Spear.
What? Dang it! What's that quote? It's like Babe Ruth says it in The Sandlot. Like,
Spoiler alert.
something, but legends never die.
I don't know. I've never seen the movie.
Anyway, health insurance is really expensive up here. There's only one provider left on the exchange, and
It's only one doctor in Alaska. So.
The cheapest plan has that they offer on the exchange in Alaska has a $6,000 deductible, $7,000 out of pocket max, and after the generous tax benefit that we'll get if we don't make too much money, it'll cost us $350 a month. And we would basically pay for everything out of pocket anyway because it's got a $6,000 deductible. So I'm weighing the pros and cons of going without. Like,
how much is the tax fee? It's like $600 a year.
Yeah, it varies. It's like 2% of your income and or 600 something per person, whichever is higher. But you get an exception if the cheapest plan offered on the exchange in your area is more than 8% of your yearly income. And without that tax thingy present from Obama, the plan costs $1,000 a month, which means for a whole year it'd be a little more than $12,000, which is way more than 8% of my income.
Yeah. Well, okay then.
Yeah, it's right now health insurance. Listen, some people, we don't get political, so I'm not gonna say Obamacare was a bad thing on the air. But it was a bad like for America as a whole, not going to mention it, but for Alaska, it was kind of a terrible thing because we don't have many health insurance providers to begin with. And I don't know why, but if you look on one of those tables where it's like, oh, here's where health insurance has gotten cheaper after Obamacare, and here's where it's gotten more expensive, Alaska's at the top with like a 500% increase.
You guys are just so different. We should just give you to Canada. Just give you back to Canada and just move on.
I tell you, sir, we were never Canadian.
Or replace you with Puerto Rico so we don't have to change the flag, but just, stay up there.
Yeah, okay, well, we
Leave
can do
us
our own
alone.
thing.
Just come back. That's
what
the
will
answer.
you do without all our delicious salmon?
I haven't had
our
salmon
own
in
salmon
years.
here, right? In Washington, we got our own.
Know how much the salmon stocks of Washington are a joke compared to
You're a joke.
Are you proud of that? Proud of the fact that you got salmon? Got some salmon. That's a reason. Alaska sucks.
when was the last time you had a fish stick?
Holy crap! I can't remember the last time I had
what
a
year
fish
is
stick.
it? It's been a
Good
while.
question. Well, if you ever had a fish stick, think
eats
good
fish sticks
solid
anymore?
Alaskan pollock.
I'd like some fish sticks, but we don't have any.
You
They
ever
have
had
gluten
a
in them,
fish
so that
witch?
means that I don't eat them very often because my wife can't have that.
What about fish witch from like McDonald's or something?
I don't eat fish very much.
Okay. I have eaten a it's
a fish fillet.
Yeah,
I think.
filet o fish. Yeah,
I have not.
I've had one of those. I think I've had one or two in the last 5 years.
Well, then thank good, solid, red-blooded Alaska pollock.
I can thank Alaska for 2 sandwiches I've had in 5 years.
Exactly. And what would you do if we left and would probably keep selling America fish anyway? Someone's got to buy it, right?
Yep, go away, Alaska, or something. I don't know.
You should come back to a real
you come
state.
back here before we give Alaska back to Canada.
You know what's really funny is when like franchises have a national promotion that doesn't make any sense in a particular state. It's never happened to me before until I went to TGI Fridays up here and the menu boasted they had real, authentic Norwegian salmon.
Yay!
I'm like, someone in Ohio wrote that, didn't they? And they just said, yeah, put it on all of our menus everywhere.
See, that is exactly why we should give Alaska back to Canada, so that our TGI Fridays menus don't have to be changed up there. So the TGI Fridays menus up there will be then dealt with by the Canadian authorities instead of the United States authorities. Or we could just give you to Russia, and then the world will be destroyed in a couple years anyway, because, war and all that jazz.
Huh.
That wasn't meant as like a... I don't know. I don't know what it was meant as. It was probably meant as... And on that note of just disappointing whatever, we've come to...
hey, by the way, when this episode's coming out this Sunday, right?
Either this Sunday or next Sunday.
Okay, so this will be our last podcast before the election.
Oh, for recording? Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I don't want to get political, but it's kind of funny to think about the next
Especially
time
not
we'll
this year. Like, good Lord. There's just... Yeah, let's just not...
It's like, it'll be done.
It'll be
next time we
done,
record.
and we'll just accept whatever we get, hopefully.
Yeah,
I'll leave you in suspense to see what happens. But
We've been in suspense for like a year now. It seems like everything takes so long. This was like a year ago. People started lining up for the primaries as candidates,
yeah. And then they started dropping like flies, and then, in the words of... Oh, South Park just did it wonderfully, like the way that they named the two candidates, but I can't remember it right now. But, yes. On that depressing note about the end of the United States as we know it, we have come to the end of episode 76 of Cool Down Timer. What is the question of the week, Mark?
Whoa. When was the last time you had a fish stick? Ayo.
Send your response to cooldown or contact us at cooldowntimer.com or to our Facebook page. When was the last time you had a fish stick? And you could potentially get yourself a free Steam game. We still got plenty of those left over.
By the way, to set the record straight, Washington caught 6% of America's fish in 2014. Alaska caught 60%.
Good for Alaska.
Damn!
That's 10 Washingtons.
Haha, that means they stink 60% more because fish stink.
Oh, they do smell. Oh, what have I done?
So that's the end of this episode. Hopefully the United States and the world and whatnot still exists for us to record again next time. Peace,
Cool.
y'all.
See ya.
Pollock.
Cool down timer, yeah.